Hi everybody, it is another wonderful week of Q&A. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I love hearing from you guys. As always, if you have questions, throw them in the comments. Candy asked our first question. She said, y'all are my new favorites, wishing the best. What Jordan Peterson podcast do you recommend? I ended up making a list on my phone because, well, that's the only way I can keep track of things. And what I did is I broke this up into like Spotify, YouTube, and Apple. There probably is some changeover between them. So these are the titles, and then you can find on the medium that you want to use. For Spotify, it's How to Beat Dopamine Cycle, Live by Not Lies, The Adventure of Pinocchio Part 1 through 4, Meaning, Awe, and Conceptualization Part 1 through 3. On YouTube, there are a lot of montages and things of his videos. You can just type in Jordan Peterson motivation and there's tons of stuff there. Specifically from him, we have You Are Strong as You're Honest, the Lecture 12 Rules for Life tour. He also breaks it down, I believe, into chapter by chapter, which is good. The Meaning and Reality of Individual Sovereignty, The Simple Reason 90% of Men Are Lost in Life. And another one, which is not by him, but more of a compilation, is You Are Strong as You're Honest. And it's, I believe, Evolve Your Mind YouTube channel. That one, really good. As far as most podcasts, I have an Apple phone, so I tend to listen to the podcasts on my phone. So on the Apple podcast, you can do How to Use Reading and Writing to Find Your Path, Sigmund Freud and the Dynamic Unconscious, Carl Jung, Part 1 to 2, Maps of Meaning, the series 1 through 12, Structuring Your Perception, Part 1 and 2, Playing the Hierarchical Game, 1 through 2, Put Yourself Together, Being a Victim, and really any podcast that he did prior to November 2019 focuses less on the political side of things and more on self-improvement, his 12 Rules for Life books. So that is what I suggest for podcasts. Fasting for My Health asks, when did my depression go away? How long after starting your new eating lifestyle? I can't say there was just like a turning point. It was a slow realization over time that I felt less and less depressed. I believe 4 to 6 weeks in, I started noticing the difference. And honestly, about 2 to 3 months, I'm like, wow, I'm really feeling the dark cloud uplifted and gone, despite, we live in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State. So this time of year, fall, winter, we don't have a lot of light, and usually people get very depressed because of the lack of sunlight and it's dreary. But I noticed I was feeling better, not worse. And so I'd say honestly about 3-month mark, I noticed probably at least 70% of my depression better. And each month that's gone by, it's just gotten a little better and a little better and a little better. And I'm specifically talking about just that chronic depression I had, the depression that led me to suicidal ideations and things like this. Of course, we're gonna have still, and I still do have this, emotions up and down here and there, and what I call situational depression. Something bad happens, we get depressed temporarily, but then we rebound back to our normal self. That still exists, so don't look at this like you're never gonna have depression again. This is just for that chronic depression that I was experiencing. Tommy asked if I had some minor changes in my voice from my first video to 5 months afterwards. Does the diet heal our voices too? I never thought of that. I guess there is a difference. My voice is clear. It's not so groggy sounding. And I feel a lot better. I was feeling like absolute death in the beginning when I started my videos, and now I don't feel like I'm dying. So yeah, I guess the diet has improved my voice, made it clearer and things like that. So yeah. And then they asked another question. I want to ask how you cope with boredom on the diet. Do you change meat often or something else, or just lots of spice to spice things up? We use spices. I guess you could consider us dirty carnivores because we use heavy cream and we use spices, and I do use things like mustard and like Frank's hot sauce. Those are the off carnivore things that we do. But yes, we change meats initially in the beginning. We kind of rotated our meats from pork to beef to chicken, fish, kind of things. Now we mostly do beef. I'd say 70 to 80% of our diet is beef. Yeah. And I just changed the spices. The boredom, you know, it doesn't really hit me anymore because food isn't about life anymore. The food gives me life versus I live to eat versus eat to live. And yeah, so I do think doing spices, being adventurous, being willing to look up different recipes and come up with concepts and be willing to eat a not quite tasty piece of meat because you fudged up on the spices, those kinds of things. And then reaching out to the carnivore community. We just started in the Discord a recipe section that I encourage anybody that has already tried a recipe, and it's an excellent one, to just chuck it in there for other people to see. I've done that. Others have done that as well. So those are great places to look. Just beware that read the recipe before you do it, because some of them are more ketovore or keto, which is fine. But if you're doing strict carnivore, you want to make sure that it's falling within your dietary guidelines that you're doing. So I encourage that. Check the recipe section out in Discord and be willing to do lots of Google searching online, because I sure have. Next one, Susan Palmer asked, have I noticed any changes with my heart rate? Yes. My resting heart rate is lower, as well as when I'm exercising, because I track everything on my watch, isn't skyrocketing as high. My heart rate was jumping when we first started to like 140, and that's like pushing real hard. And now I think my average heart rate when we are walking going uphill is about 113 when I checked it last night. And my resting heart rate at times is 62, which is much lower, because when I started, my resting heart rate was 80s and 90s. Not that it's probably always 60, that's when I'm probably the most calm, but I'd say my heart rate, my resting heart rate, has probably dropped at least 10 beats per minute, if not 20, compared to what it was. Florida Sunshine asked, do you use Kerrygold grass-fed butter? We do not. We use from Costco, just the Costco butter. I'm gonna be honest, I don't like Kerrygold butter. I don't like the taste of it. I don't know what it is. Don't ask me, but I don't like the taste of it compared to just the butter we buy from Costco. I know there's people who like live and die by it, and that is great for them, but as flavor-wise, it is not for me. Our last question for today is from Coach Vin. They said, do you work out with the diet? Walking? Yes. As of lately, Scott and I are walking at least 2 miles pretty much every single day with the dogs. We have been working out using the gym equipment. This past week we haven't done anything just because I was having quite a bit of shoulder pain and things. This past week we haven't been doing any weight training just because I was having a lot of shoulder and knee pain. So we just need to step back and ease into it more. Don't ask me why Scott hasn't done it if I haven't done it, but I guess I'm his impetus to use the equipment. I don't know. Yes, walking, exercising, those kinds of things. However, as I've mentioned before, I did not exercise for the first couple months. My exercise was literally just trying to move around the house, do the dishes, just trying to do daily activities of living, just whatever else I needed to do. I believe about 3 to 4 weeks in, that's when I started to try to walk, and it was walking a few houses down with the walker and then back, and then a couple more houses and back to the end of the street and back, and on and on. I have slowly built up to this 2 miles, and it's 6 months tomorrow, so it has taken me 6 months to get from not walking to walking 2 miles, and I just don't want people to feel like bad that they're not there yet. Start where you can, do the small things, don't push yourself and hurt yourself, it'll just slow yourself down. And yes, anyways, so that is what I do for exercise. I appreciate you guys as always, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Lives by not, live not but. What is wrong with me? You can just type in Jordan Peterson. You can just type in Jordan Peterson. You can just type in Jordan Peterson.
Podcast?
No. You can just give me a second. You can just type in Jordan Peterson
Motivation.
What?
You haven't had your first cup of coffee. It shows.
Fasting for my... Alright, our last question for day... Blah, 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 blah.